We're now going to look at reading a song chart, or sometimes it's called a chord chart. We've mentioned before the magic of number 4 in music, and that's applied to the rhythms that we've played. We've said it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stuff like that. And we also mentioned kind of in passing that 4 applies on another scale as well. And when we're talking about chord progressions, usually they're grouped in what we call measures. And measures are grouped in terms of like 4, multiples of 4, 4 measures, 8 measures, and so on. So I have a basic sheet here. This is just a sheet of tab, and I want to write out a chord progression and kind of show you what this looks like, the magic of this number 4 and how it applies to reading basic song charts and chord charts and things like that. So I have a sheet of tab here. Now let's take a progression that we're familiar with. Let's go G, E minor, C, and D, right? And just blank like this, obviously, that doesn't help you at all. We don't know how long to strum the G or how many times to go through the E minor and so on and so forth. So people have adopted this convention of breaking up music into smaller chunks that we call measures, and measures are usually grouped in 4. See that? So I have 4 up here, 4 down there. It's very rare to see like a 5-measure song. So have an additional measure down here or kind of a lone measure or an odd number of measures. That's pretty rare. You'll find it, but it's not that common. So we're mostly dealing with this. And if you can train your hearing to kind of expect that, and even as you're playing and writing your own music and own renditions or rearrangements of these progressions, think in terms of 4. So by the time you're done wrapping up the progression or once it's recycling, you should have played some multiple of 4 in there. Again, it's not always the case, but it's a good general rule. So now I instantly know not only I have this multiple of 4, but it really helps with my navigation. So if I say, let's start on the 3rd measure, we know exactly where to start. We can start here. And I said within each of these measures, we've counted to 4. Right? So I have something like this. I'll go ahead and draw these out. Now, it's important to know that these slash marks, they're really just placekeepers. They're not telling you how many times to strum the guitar or anything like that. They're really just keeping track of the main pulses of the measure or quarter notes in this case. Again, don't worry about the terms right now, quarter notes, eighth notes, things like that. We'll get into a fuller discussion of rhythms later. But here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, these aren't number of strums. So if I'm playing a rhythm like this, 3 and 4 and, right? Accents on 2 and 4. We've been playing that, all downstrokes. What that's saying is that I'm playing this whole thing in each one of these measures. See that? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and so on and so forth. So what I'd like you to do is, as you're coming across song charts and chord charts like this, get in the habit of not just looking at the chord and then kind of strumming along until it feels right to play the next chord. Start actually reading through these measures. So, and you're keeping track of, these are placekeepers, these slash marks. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So you insert kind of whatever rhythm into each one of these measures. And that's really the basics. That will keep you for a long time. There are more elaborate things and more kind of complexities that we'll start to insert into these chord charts. Certain rhythm notation and things like that we'll get into. But this is the most basic and most common form of it. So it helps with our navigation, and it helps with the way we think about and hear music in terms of these groups of 4.